Log these went to Sponge Pal.
Let us in now.
Together! Not without a warrant.
They thought she didn't belong. They whispered, filed complaints, and even called the cops. What they didn't know was that the black woman they targeted wasn't just any neighbor. She was the county sheriff. What happened next shook the entire neighborhood and left a lesson they'll never forget. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to Blackish Focus. Your support helps us bring more true, emotional, and motivational stories that inspire change and give a voice to those who need to be heard. Sheridan Cole had spent over 2 decades serving her community. At 44 years old, she was not only respected by her colleagues, but feared by criminals, because she was the elected sheriff of Seminole County. After years of midnight raids, court testimony, and chasing warrants, she wanted peace. That peace seemed to come when she bought a small brick home in Brookhaven Estates, Florida. It was quiet, tree-lined, and appeared perfect for a woman who had carried so many burdens. But from the moment she stepped out of her moving truck, she noticed blinds twitching and whispers rising. To her neighbors, Sheridan wasn't a respected law officer, she was an outsider. It didn't take long before Clifford Branson, the HOA president, introduced himself. His greeting wasn't a welcome, it was a warning. Bins out no earlier than 6 p.m. Lawns cut weekly. Sheridan knew what it meant. Her presence was being monitored. The first days brought side glances, cut-off conversations, and a teenager bluntly asking if she was renting. Then came the first violation notice, trash bins visible for less than an hour. Sheridan laughed bitterly, knowing this wasn't about rules. It was about her. Within weeks, Sheridan's home became the neighborhood's obsession. Patricia Nolan, the HOA treasurer, whispered that she left at odd hours and must be hiding something. Clifford and Patricia gathered petty complaints, porch lights, mailboxes, even the way her tires touched the grass. Each envelope taped to her door chipped away at her peace. Sheridan confided in her deputy, Raphael, who told her plainly, "People like that don't need a reason. They'll invent one." He was right. One night, Sheridan sat at her dining table when red and blue lights filled her street. 3 squad cars lined her curb, radios crackling. Officers stepped out, hands near their holsters. "Sheriff?" one deputy stammered, stunned. Sheridan folded her arms. "Mind telling me why half the precinct is parked outside my house?" They explained that a suspicious resident was reported at her address. Sheridan's badge glinted under the lights as she reminded them exactly whose house this was. Neighbors gawked behind curtains, and Patricia stood boldly on her porch, watching the scene like a spectacle. That night, Brookhaven Estates learned the woman they targeted wasn't a suspect. She was their sheriff. The following evening, Clifford called an emergency HOA meeting. Patricia insisted Sheridan was creating a spectacle and intimidating neighbors with her squad car. Sheridan stood, uniform gleaming. "That's right. Sheriff Sheridan Cole. The same woman you all called the cops on. Do you have any idea how humiliating it was for my deputies to respond to their boss's house on a bogus call?" The room fell silent. Some residents muttered apologies. Ronald Pierce, a board member, spoke up. "She hasn't broken a single law. Maybe the problem isn't her, maybe it's us." Sheridan ended firmly, "I didn't buy this house to wear my badge in my driveway. I bought it for peace. You don't have to like me, but you will respect me." Brookhaven Estates split down the middle. Some residents apologized. Others, led by Patricia, doubled down. Sheridan received nods from a few, but cold shoulders from others. Clifford avoided her, but his clipboard of violations kept growing. Sheridan realized silence was no longer enough, so she took matters into her own hands. Sheridan reserved the clubhouse and invited everyone to a community forum on her terms. No HOA agenda. No Clifford at the podium. Just her. When she stood at the front, dressed not in uniform but in plain clothes, she spoke as a neighbor. It wasn't about trash cans or porch lights. It was about me. About what you assumed without ever knocking on my door. You called the police on your sheriff. Imagine how different that could have gone if I wasn't who I am. Some bowed their heads in shame. Others still resisted. But Sheridan's honesty cut through the room. For the first time, Neighbors began to see her not as a stranger, but as someone who deserved the same respect as anyone else. The weeks that followed brought slow change. A middle-aged couple apologized. Some waved for the first time. And even a child asked innocently, "You're the sheriff, right?" "Cool." Sheridan smiled. That simple recognition meant more than the whispered apologies. She closed the chapter at the next HOA meeting. "When I moved here, I thought I was buying peace. What I got was a lesson that community can crumble from suspicion, but it can rebuild with respect. You don't need to like me, but if we're going to live here together, you will respect me." The message was clear. Prejudice breaks trust, but understanding builds it. This story reminds us that home should be a place of peace, not suspicion. And that respect isn't optional. It's the foundation of every neighborhood. If Sheridan's story moved you, subscribe to Blackish Focus for more powerful, emotional, and true stories that remind us of courage, dignity, and the importance of standing tall.